Jamar bought that, Steve.
What, the one?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Jamar bought that, Steve.
There's a butt for every seat.
Well, we always say that. I mean, it is. He don't say no. The bank has got to say yeah on that. You know, that's the next step.
Yeah, I just have the remote for that TV to turn the damn volume down. I came in for a volume knob. You can find it, go for it. I haven't been to find a fucking volume knob.
Nah.
I got input controls, I don't have volume controls.
Yeah, I'm not playing with it.
Because they can see us. People out in YouTube land can't see us.
Listen.
It was here before, but I don't want to bug anybody for it.
No.
If we were trying to display, calculations, I'd care. But
I control the volume to the keyboard. Okay, I'll bring it right back.
oh, sure, now you're going to subject them all to feedback.
He says this is the service selection box. He says
That's not going to help us.
He says it controls the volume.
Okay,
So
guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
It didn't work. That's a question for next month. No, but the whole problem is that the signal coming out of the TV is hitting the mics. So it's shutting off the TV, shutting off the signal to the TV. And the problem is with HDMI, it runs through the. I think there's a setting I can change in here, but I'm just not messing with it tonight. See, last time we had a wire difference. We'll change it tonight.
That's a podcast we do also.
Almost brainless except for the TV.
We have
I know, man. Hey, man. It's a third. Oh, very much, yeah. Good one. Yeah, I bet it was Florida and Texas. I guess Florida and Georgia. I think Monday afternoon. Okay. Wednesdays we start running into this.
Yeah. On Mondays I have class though.
Oh.
I don't know, 19 members, 20, like that. Yeah, that's what I'm
See?
talking about. I was at 4 this so we'll take. Then when I hit the other group, I start working on
That's a 400% increase in the corn. See it? What's up, you guys? What's anything new with you guys? No.
They're brand new, Steve.
Yeah.
Brand new.
What, you want to do wholesaling? You want to do?
No, buy and hold.
Okay, all right,
I
cool.
prefer, but
All right. Well, we can definitely help you with that. I'm also a broker.
that.
That's me too, Steve.
Very much.
Me too, yeah. So you looking for multi, singles? Are you ready to buy, or are you just kind of checking it out? You comfortable with your numbers?
Yeah, the interest rate suck.
My parents bought their first building, the overqualified interest rate for the best borrower possible.
Yeah, listen, I was at the bank today and I talked to my banker, and they had a big meeting with the mortgage lenders, and they're like, most people bought their house at 7%. The last couple of years have been free money. I mean,
Yeah.
but you were overpaying for a house also, so you needed that 2% to overpay.
Right.
Me and Sean hope they still overpay, but
I predict
yeah.
before the next presidential election, the rates will suddenly decrease. Good. Neither party wants a matter next time.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I guess we just start talking, and
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of newbies. I mean, first of all, Chris, what deals do you have? You want to talk about any deals? What about that portfolio? Yeah, I know, but tell me. I don't listen. What do you got? What about that portfolio? No, yes?
Yes, turnkey. It's like 15 units between 4 buildings.
What's the, yeah, did you send that over? I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, I can send it to you email.
Yeah. So what's the gross income? What's the net income?
I'd have to send you.
Okay, all right.
What is he asking?
Or what do you want, brother?
930. I'd have to send you.
Yeah, it all depends on numbers and.
Yeah. That's,
It's between Wilkes-Barre and Strand.
is that the one that includes the 148 Barney?
It might be this one in Barney.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, 148,
Yeah. What's that? 6.
that's a 6 unit.
Yeah.
It's a building, it'll always stay rented, but they are old, so they're small. I don't mean old and updating, we did a lot of updating, but they're smaller, rather functionally obsolete. So they're just not, they're okay units, they'll never be great.
What number, Barney?
148.
Okay, what's the one
We're, what? We're looking at 221, 220 something.
Oh, no, okay, so that's from the realtor. No, Academy's the other one. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Any on Academy in Wilkes-Barre? Okay, no, because we're looking at a 6-unit
Yeah.
tomorrow on Academy. I was just wondering,
Probably not.
if there's somebody just being shady.
Yeah, did he ever confirm us? I mean, we can get into the vacant one, but.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He emailed me today, too.
The owner asked me to push him out a while back.
Yeah, just so there's 3 different people in that.
Yeah.
So I told him I'm not going to do that yet.
Have you got paperwork on it yet? 'Cause-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't.
all right, good, yeah. no.
What's that other one you have? Where's that at?
I have 2 I'm JV.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
anything.
have actually buyers looking at it tomorrow.
That's great.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it's a ranch on the corner of one.
And then there's a single, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the one for 90.
Yeah, there's one at 90, 95. Both are at like 50% ARE. So they look like light rehab. They are on market, but they're under contract right now. So
What do you mean, they're MLS listed and you're also carrying them?
yeah.
Are they under contract to
I'm
you?
trying to find a cash buyer and just.
Okay, no, but are they under contract to you?
Yeah, I'm JV.
Okay.
Other.
Okay. So just so you know, Pennsylvania Association of Realtors has legislation right now, and this one's gonna pass, that if you're advertising an MLS property, it's gonna be approaching a felony. Unless you are under contract, a signable contract for it. Too many wholesalers are just grabbing stuff off the MLS and saying, here you go, look at this one. You can't do that. And This one's gonna become,
Yeah, it's gonna.
Just for the Astro, that's all they do.
Yeah, well, that's where they're gonna end.
and if you think about it, it's not fair because you've never had any contact with the seller. He's got nothing on paper with you. You don't have any contact with the realtor. You gotta be on paper.
You might want to get your license.
If I have to.
You know.
If you had it, it'd be a huge
Oh,
bonus.
I sent you guys, right?
Also, for everyone, when you come to this meeting or any of your friends come, always bring your deals, bring them ready. We'll put them up on the big screen. If you have any shots of your things, I can throw them up on the big screen. Only reason we're not using the big screen tonight is we can't find the volume control, but I can put deals up there.
So we want to start off the night with wholesalers. So I'm going to try to get as many as I can now here to bring their deals. You know, walk me through it, tell me about it.
Yep.
Tell us the numbers, because there's people here buying. Sean's a buyer. I'm a buyer. Steve's a buyer. Vinny's a buyer. Jake's a buyer.
Anybody else got any
Ryan's a
other
buyer.
deals you want to run by people?
No, that's it. Right now.
You're-
Everything else.
Yeah. Everyone else is.
Yeah.
Where the hell's Jake?
And we're also certifying wholesalers now. We have an ethics and training certification. This is not our education program. This is, do you know what you're talking about, how to present stuff? Are you presenting stuff right, legally, contracts right, da-da-da-da? Then we give you a little to become a member of the Independent Investor Association, which will tell everyone you've been through a certification. This is what we're getting you guys through over the next few weeks. And this will eventually, what we want to do, because there's another legislation in front of the State House. Hey, buddy. There's another legislation in front of the State House basically wanting to make wholesaling require every wholesale deal you have to take to a realtor.
We're going to have to bring.
Partially, it's like a money grab for PAR, but really what it is have you done your deals correctly, protecting buyers and sellers?
I'm going to send that.
We're fighting that legislation, but
That's beautiful. I
this,
love
you're
that.
getting certified allows us to say, hey, our members are okay. They've been through a program. We've verified that they're doing their stuff right. Because it's stuff like that. It's stuff like the fact that I saw Barney Street from 5 different wholesalers in one day. Sent me 148 Barney. This is like about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And anything you want to know about 148 Barney, I'll tell you everything about that building. We owned it for 6 years. We sold it. It's a nice building. But yeah, the first thing you got to know about your properties is know your numbers. Anybody else got any projects or deals you're working on, things you're looking at, things you want to buy, anything? Right? I know you got a couple.
That's it. We got Wood Street, but I can't think of the name. But I can't
All right. So 175 Wood Street.
This one's
It's a 3-bedroom single in relatively dumpy condition, functional. It is posted non-hallowed by the city for 2 reasons. One, it was a hoarder house, so we got rid of most of the crap, but it's ugly as sin inside. I can put pictures up if anybody wants to see it. It's also non-hallowed because the front steps are out of the way and they're basically a slide. So it's ready, but it's title clear, ready to go. Oh yeah, we're asking 55. We'll do like 40, 45, somewhere in that range, just to get it done. It's all title cleared. We had a buyer for it, and at the last minute, his lender pulled out that was going to support it, not because of the deal, but I can tell you point blank, I'm the lender, and my IRS contact told me I'm too close because I do too many deals with the buyer, so I can't be his lender. So I have to be arm's length. I have to step back. Other than that, it's a really good, relatively good property. And we also have 161 East Dana Street, 3-bedroom, single, 3. Great house. It did have a little bit of a fire, not as bad as it sounds when you say that. Nice yard, nice off-street parking. About the same number. We're looking at what, 65? We'll try to do like 55 or something like that, somewhere in that range. And they're both wood will ARV for 120, 150. Dana, 140, 160. I own right around the corner from Wood Street. I own one renting out for $1,200 a month. Baby food. It was we had a line of people at $1,200. I own a block and a half away from Dana, and I'm getting $1,600 for one of my 3 bedrooms and $1,200 for the other one. So strong rents, good numbers.
inspector even ask about the guy selling it?
Yeah, on Dana, I went down to pull the BNI. I just pulled the BNI for wood, and I asked Dan Kratz. I said, "So, who's our fire? What's the scoop?" He's like, "I can't believe they're selling it." He's like, "I'd probably rewire the second floor just because it's over wiring." But he's like, "As far as the city's concerned, we have to mark them non-habitable." But he's like, "There's not a lot of work there." It's former tenant lit his bed on fire because he was tired of having to actually be told. And well, then happened when the beds get lit on fire. That room is pretty wrecked, but it's just heavy smoke damage. Is really all it is. I mean, I'd probably rewire it just because of what it is. But I think one or two. I think only one window was busted out. I think that bedroom. Now that I'm thinking of it, I didn't see any daylight. Probably a boarded up window. So we got those two. So anybody have any questions about real estate or wholesaling or anything like that?
Yeah, let's do that, because everyone's new here.
Okay.
I'm gonna say besides.
What was that one on Barney Street you said, what address?
But I own 148.
48.
Yeah, 148. Right on the corner of Barney and whatever that little alley is.
3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
You said a whole bunch of wholesalers?
Yeah. Well, I actually, one of my longtime buyers sent this over to me. He was like, "Hey, isn't that your property this guy's selling?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my property." And honestly, we bought that building. This is the cliff notes of why you use, if you're going to use a realtor or a wholesaler, you should buy from someone who is or knows investing really well. My wife and I read one book. This was our first building. Read one book, and we refinanced our commercial property out in Boston. We found this nice little realtor, totally friendly, totally nice. Didn't have a freaking clue about investing. This deal was about for us, it was a 5 or 7 cap. It really never performed to the 10 or 12 we thought it would, because we didn't know how much infrastructure it actually needed. We had to replace furnaces the first year. And Barney's a great building, but the apartments will never be better than they are. They are comfortably small. They're not tiny claustrophobic, but they're comfortably small. But they're not going to be modern love. They're going to be the way it was back in the 1940s. That's the shape of them, and that's the shape of what it's going to be. It was it was a family candy store downstairs, and the family lived upstairs, and eventually they did their thing. And when you buy a property like that, you just can never expect it. It's never going to perform beyond a certain level. It performs beautifully at that level. If that's what you're looking for, it performs beautifully at that level. But that building, it was good. And right around the corner from the Douglas Railroad train wreck house. So if you're new to the game, so how many people here want to wholesale and sell and deal, and how many people want to buy and hold? Wholesalers and dealers and sellers? Okay. And buy and holders or flippers? All right. So any questions we should start off with? All right.
So when I do some driving for dollars and I find some properties, I think PropStream, and then I look at the local county and I even know a lot of the zoning guys. I'll call them like, "Hey, this house has been abandoned forever. We send mail to and shit." And a lot of times I just get every number you can find. I call and I knock on people's doors, and you just can't find who owns it.
So skip tracing is the hard part, yeah.
And we do the skip trace. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And even skip trace itself, I do it. You can't find people. So how do you find them?
Sometimes you can't. That'll definitely happen. Don't be afraid if you can't get them through electronic means. Don't be afraid of mail, because a lot of these folks are hiding, or they're not responding, or their phone numbers. First of all, it depends on what you use for a skip tracer. Forewarn, which the Scranton board gives us, but it's like $25 a month, is a great skip trace software. It'll give you their last 7 numbers. It's FOREWARN. It's also a good software because it gives you a little bit of a background check. Is it accurate? I haven't got a foggiest clue, but I'm hoping it's accurate enough. If they were a violent criminal, it would tell you. But getting their number is key. Talking to neighbors. Also, a lot of times you'll skip trace, and you'll skip trace. John, you blink that again for him. FOREWARN. It's one of several tools I use, but that's one of my favorites. You'll skip trace it, and you'll end up with the wrong John Yablinski, or you end up with a source that actually is a John. You'll find out whatever. So a lot of times you end up searching one of the names, Yablinski, and you'll just start dialing. Hey, do you know the guy that owns? And I've gotten more deals through that than honestly a lot of other ways. Is yeah, that's not me, but that's my brother, that's my whatever.
I went to some lady's house and knocked on the door, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's." I named the 3 names that were supposed to live there. She goes, "That's me. That's my husband." I'm like, "Well, do you own this?"
He said,
house?"
"Thank you." He's like, "Oh my God, I'm working on a sewer job right now." He's like, "Tell him thank you." Yeah, I said, "I'll hold it in my car." He's like, "I'll see you in the next 2 weeks." I said, "Okay."
I went to her house. Wasn't too far away.
Yeah, I said, it's you're gonna look good when I told him. He's like, sweet.
And I mean, I've gone so far as to, on these blind drive-ups, I'll have a stack of contracts filled out. I'll have a proof of funds stapled to it, blank out all my private information, but showing that I have the money.
Tell people.
And I'll have a Xerox of a deposit check written to a title company with the account number blocked out. And every person like that I run into, well, listen, I'll give you $250 if you can get them this contract, and if they buy the house, I'll give you $250. And yeah, you might give out 5 or 10 of those. But someone's like, $250 for calling somebody I used to date back in high school? Sure, I'll do that. But sometimes they can be hard. Direct mail also works to the taxing address if they haven't totally ditched.
I get more. Stop sending me this goddamn letter than I get anything.
You will get that, and you just have to say, "I'm sorry, sir, we got it."
I say, "What are you doing getting Macy's flyers? And you don't want to go to Macy's, you just throw it away." I call Macy's and say, "Why'd you send me this flyer?" Right?
That guy probably does. and you just have to say, "Sir, I got your information through public record, and you can't shoot me for it."
If you give me your address, I'll take you off the list. They just hang up. I'm like, "What are you getting this piece of mail, jerk?"
I can't unsubscribe. You didn't tell me who you were.
Exactly. Your mailing list. It's like, all right, well.
Yeah. And that's why in a lot of these cases you're going to use a disposable. So I have my Google Voice number. This is my main business line, and I have my Google Voice number. What?
I like it to call mail number. It's fun.
Yeah. Basically, if the number you're using in those kinds of advertising is something you can dispose of, if you get enough complaints, great. That number's no longer me. But basically, skip tracing. There are tips and tricks to go into. Like we can do a whole skip tracing, seminar. But basically, you want your tool of how you're skip tracing is key. Anywho.com, I use those for top level, quick and easy ones. But if Forewarn, PropStream is kind of okay. I've got 2 or 3 others. I can't think of them right now that I
When I
use.
first got PropStream, I thought it was awesome. I literally bought a property like you told me when I first got it, and literally like 3 days after closing, it showed on PropStream. I bought it. I'm like, oh, it's really active. But then months later, I bought another property. It didn't show up. I bought it and sold it, and never showed that even owned it.
And the problem is that a lot of these have lost their connection to the MLS, which is really where a lot of their data comes, or they've lost their connection to county records. So like PropStream was good here for a while. Now it's more of a batch leads kind of market for whatever reason it seems to be. But I mean, it's skip tracing is the number one hard thing. And I've used skip tracing services. I've sent lists out. I don't know. The lists get me about 60% accuracy for the most part. I'm hitting about 6 numbers out of 10.
What do you find is the best way to find the house? Period. If I want to buy one and fix it up, what's the best way? I find all the wholesalers. One second.
Yeah.
I find all the wholesalers, for lack of better words, most of them like crap. I don't want.
No clue, yeah.
They have Strand and Wilkes-Barre. Like I don't care if not against you guys, but those 2 houses list for 50. If they were $5,000, I might be interested. But
Right.
I mean, at 50, there's not enough meat on the bone. And it's always Strand, Wilkes-Barre, and all the other neighbors feel like nobody ever finds them.
Well, and that's one of the reasons we're doing more reaching out and trying. One of the reasons we're certifying wholesalers is so that we can get good ones in those outlying areas and be able, because we have our own MLS, our own listing service. If you get certified, we can let you use the listing service because it is hard to find those good deals in those areas. And I mean, like a guy like Martin from Stroudsburg, he'll tell you bandit signs. The "I Love Lucy buys houses" signs. That's all Martin.
Yeah, it's a guy.
What?
It's a guy that has Lucy buys homes.
Yeah, that's his bread and butter. Those and a bunch of kids and a bunch of 20-year-olds in a room
I've
calling.
had Martin's people send me a million letters and call a million times.
Yeah.
They don't offer nothing. It's like a joke.
Right.
Well, no,
I had a property for $12,000. Like 2 months later, they sent me an official letter with $7,000 offer. I'm like, I just sold that 2 days ago for $25,000.
Yeah.
How's it worth $7,000? Where you going?
Yeah.
But I mean, what I found is in doing this thing for almost 20 years now, full time, there's no one trick for everybody. Like our biggest thing is the network. Hey, you know we're in it. So one of us in this room is getting that phone call, and it's probably coming across between me, Mike, and Ryan. It's probably coming across one of our desks.
And we tell everybody, hey, listen, you know, if you have an aunt, uncle, someone passed away, you got a house you can't afford, they're in a distress situation, I have cash and I'll buy today.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell everybody. I mean, we tell the mailman, our UPS guy, the guy in the grocery store. Everybody knows.
And my other favorite one is code officers. Not the city guys less so.
That way, that's how you lot.
Yeah. And the city guys less so because at least in the bigger towns they've got rules against that. But in the rural towns, but also the guys who work for BHW, the guys who work for NEIC.
It's the same rule. They're not allowed to, when you go into town, they're not allowed to say, you know, when you say what contractors do, they're not allowed to hear
Right.
what they do. Like, it calls all day long.
And you know, you go to them, and then I mean, for my other favorite way to get deals, honestly, easy ones that are probably higher than you're aiming, but is you drive by and you see a single family home with a for rent sign. The only thing you know about that is it ain't making no money today because it's vacant. I mean, direct mail. I like direct mail. I've had direct mail takes a long time. My direct mails are calling me from 2 years ago. They're not calling me from now. They're not calling me from the Christmas campaign.
I spend more money on SEO.
Yeah, SEO,
So
inbound.
search engine optimization. So I have websites, and I don't cold call. I don't do any of that, right? They call me. So when they call me, they already said, "Oh, I saw your yellow signs. I saw your ads on TV." I don't have any of that, right? But they went home and they said, "Hey, I'm looking for. I'll buy homes for cash or whatever." I come up a lot. Ryan comes up a lot.
Your online presence is really where it is. If you've got a good online presence, and you're posting information about real estate, they will find you. And, and the other one that I hate to a high heaven is on Facebook, the whiny onion clubs. You know, Luzerne County Chit Chat and, you know, whatever trading hosts. Because those are the people who are going to be looking for you because they've got nothing else, no offense, they've got nothing else going on in their lives. And those are the places where they're going to post them. But for me, it's totally almost inbound calls at this point. People will say, "Hey, I know you know real estate. What can you do for me?" But to a point for Chris and Thomas and Brandon and almost everybody else in this room, get your license. Because the wholesale deals you can't make a wholesale work on, you can refer them to me and I can sell them, but I can only pay you if you have a license. If you send me somebody to the list, that's a great favor, thank you. But if you have a license, I can give you a referral fee.
Or you can list it yourself.
Or if you're with a broker, you can list it yourself, yeah.
You know.
But like someone I know who doesn't want to list anything, he's going to refer them all.
Yeah, I'll give it. I'll give them. Yeah. I don't want to deal with wholesales anymore. I give them away. But networking is the biggest thing. Just tell everybody. I mean, I tell everybody.
And if
you always put it in their head, all of a sudden they just start, "Oh, Mike, he'll buy a house." You know, it's crazy because I just always talk about it. Hey, if you got a house, I don't want to bother them too much. And they always, you know, someone say, "Hey, you buying houses?" Yeah, all the time. You know, you have any questions? I can answer your questions.
I went to the diner 3 days ago, and this guy that I bought a couple deals from 5 years ago was like, "Hey, you! I got more for you." I'm like, "Well, then bring them on." Always, you know. And if you have a discrete target market, there's every door direct mail for a certain pretty cheap number. The post office will put a flyer in every door. That doesn't work for the non-owner occupies, obviously, because they're not the ones getting the flyer.
I think everyone should have a web page or at least a Facebook.
You got to have something online.
You know, not your personal Facebook. Make another one that says you buy houses and pass it on to all your friends. Because that works. You know, it's free. And just post up real estate stuff. Post up pictures. Post up. Go to a lot of meetups. Meet a lot of people. We talk to everybody. You know, meet other wholesalers. As a wholesaler, if I can't sell a house, I'll call Ryan. "Hey, Ryan, you want to team up? Let's share it 50-50. You know what I mean? Sometimes I can't find a buyer. You know, oh shit, I can't find a buyer. Me and Steve really don't like to put it on Facebook as much. We used to, but most of our deals we get them, we sell them before they even hit. You know, we have a big group of investors. So any other wholesalers out there, you get a house, we could JV. We got the investors. So, go ahead.
The biggest gap that most wholesalers have, or most investors have, is between the hi, I want to sell you my house, and the here's the number that actually works. The problem that I come across the most, that Mike and Ryan and I come across the most, is
What's your name?
I got this great house for you for $69,000. Main Street of a little town south of Nanticoke,
Yeah.
and
No, I talked to a guy.
I think it's a great price. Well, it's going to be $80,000 when I do everything to it. I can't buy it from you for wholesale at 69.
now, or?
How'd you pick 69? Well, the seller wanted 69.
Okay, cool.
Well, that's exactly the wrong reason to pick that number.
Yeah.
You've got to show the seller, like I do as a broker. I go into every deal. Here's what I can list for you as a broker. Boom, 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 boom.
Here's pretty new to
Here's what I can buy it from you for. Much smaller numbers.
right now. Just
Which way do you want to go?
I could talk
Because if the seller says they want 69, you sign it up at 69,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to buy it, who've you helped? You haven't helped the seller, you haven't helped yourself, and you made all the buyers out there think you haven't know how to do your numbers. So getting an understanding of how to do your numbers is critical when, if you're going to try to wholesale. If you're buying for yourself like he is, you're going to know your numbers. You pick your numbers based on you. But if you're trying to find somebody else down the line, you got to remember that they've got to win the numbers.
Yes, you're selling to a guy like myself, Steve, Sean. We're flipping the house. You got to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers right, as soon as we come there, we know the numbers are wrong or right. If they're right, we'll buy. Chris didn't look at me.
Any other, next question? Anything, guys?
I think he's staying wholesaling.
Yeah.
Brian just came. He's new too.
All right. So the most important thing when you so we started off with how to get driving for dollars, mail, online is key. Obviously, most brokers that I know, aren't even doing newspapers anymore. If they are, they're down to like a one ad instead of being the whole middle Sunday section. If you look at the real estate section of your Sunday newspaper compared to what your parents all saw when we were younger, yeah, not the same. The newspaper doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of that whole real estate. I don't even know. I wouldn't buy
It's
it.
as big as everything else. You have to have the advertising, but I mean, you want an online presence. When you get in front of that seller, before you get in front of that seller, well, I don't like to promise the seller anything on the first call. I like to collect information. I like to know about the property. You give me an address, you give me a name and address, we're going to run comps, we're going to look at pictures, we're going to look at the last Zillow comps. Zestimate is not your friend. Learn how to, and we can teach this, learn how to use Zillow and other tools, but learn how to look behind Zillow to what things are actually worth. But when I'm on the phone with the seller, I'm not looking to give them a number the first time. I want to know about them. I want to know what got them in that situation, when they last did the kitchen, what can they tell me. Then we'll run some comps and we'll call them back. And this is what's critical. If you want to tell them, hey, listen, here's what's actually sold in your neighborhood. A 3-bedroom, 1-bath on Main Street, Glen Lyon sold for $88. Another one sold for $120. Another one sold for $100. Here are the differences in what they were. You have a 2-bedroom bath, 900 square feet. This is why we can't really come to an exact number, but if we know 3-bedroom, 1-bath is in good condition sold for $100, we know your 2-bed, 1-bath in not good condition ain't coming near that number. And you tell them, because that's one of the things, Philadelphia has this in their city regulations, and that's pretty much standard. You got to tell the seller, hey, listen, you probably could make more selling to somebody else, but you'll go faster working with me. So you need to know what those things are worth. If it's a multi, you need to know those numbers. If you're moving multifamily properties or anything that could be a rental, you better know what the net operating income is. You better know what the gross income is. You better know what the expenses are. You better know who pays what utilities, or I can't even begin to know if I'm interested. Knowing the information of what the property is, everything you can possibly think of, and we can provide lists, there's plenty of lists, but knowing that information, and you'll get that mostly by talking to the seller. Knowing what their motivation is. Are they selling because their dad shot himself on the first floor? Are they selling because there's a divorce thing going on? Are they really not looking to sell, but they're just kind of looking to kick tires? Getting that out of them. What they for, kind of not relevant for the most part. It's nice to know, but kind of not relevant. Because if they bought it for $1, it doesn't mean it's not worth $100,000. Doesn't matter. So knowing the physical reality, then working with someone or taking the training or knowing how to run the numbers. Talking to the code officer in that town. Finding out if it's well or septic versus whatever. My favorite one is Williamsport. Shared driveway, shared reservoir on top of hill, which I'm not sure I still understand, and shared septic. All of those things to me are negatives. I'm not even sure shared reservoir on top of hill is a legal way to get your water. But those are all things you got to know, and you got to try to find comps that match them. Knowing your numbers before you sign that contract. Bluntly, if it's a flip, knowing what a flipper is looking at, knowing what your end client wants, and backing out from there. If Mike, Ryan, and I are going to buy it as a flip, Ryan and I don't flip as much, but Mike and I are going to buy it as a flip, and you know from how we've taught you numbers that we're going to pay $100,000 for that flip. Well, if you have it on contract at $100,000, where are we going? Where are you going? Or most people who call us and something worth $100,000, they're trying to sell it for $140,000 because they have it for $100,000. You can't have it for what your end buyer is going to want it for. You have to say, okay, if I'm a landlord, I have maintenance, vacancy management, PAS, this is what it's worth. You have to know that number. And then you build your buyers, in my opinion, you build your buyers list from there. Lots of gurus teach reverse wholesaling. Find your buyers and then go find properties. Good luck with that right now. For every listing I have 10 calls within an hour. You can have all the buyers in the world right now, and it ain't going to matter because the deals aren't out there. You have the deals and the buyers all over you. So if you bring the good deal, I'm not saying don't talk to buyers, don't collect buyers, but just realize that my business in this was made on finding things to sell. And I have buyers who I frankly haven't found a deal they've wanted in 3 years, but they haven't found a deal they wanted in 3 years from anybody else. This one guy literally bought one thing in the last 3 years, one from me, one not from me, because the deals aren't out there. Well, Jamar, I've got one of my guys back who's working with me from 2010. Jamar, if it walks, if it doesn't, is it? Yeah. Who knows Jamar? Okay, yeah. I mean, if you find a guy like that who'll take anything that doesn't move, if he can get to that house and he looks at it, that's it. It's his. Yeah, like it's mine. How you doing? Good to see you. How are you? And no, if you're walking through a house and something doesn't look right, I'm Mike. Nice to meet you. I've never seen wiring like that. That's a funny 9 foot crack in the basement. Take extra pictures of that.
Actually, we don't have a guest.
I mean, you've all lived in properties long enough. You know what things are supposed to look like. If it does, I mean, take pictures of everything anyway. But if it doesn't look like what you think it should look like, take pictures of it. If it's a brand name of something you've never heard of, take a picture of it. I can guarantee you, if the electrical panel is a brand name you don't know and you can't find in Lowe's or Home Depot, that has to get replaced when they buy the house.
The guy over there has to draw a license.
And that's a $3,000 to $5,000 job. Zinsco, borderline, but pretty bad idea to keep them around.
So people know.
Federal Pacific, we burn before we turn. Get them out of your buildings. That's kind of how you look at it. If the furnace looks like that scary thing from Home Alone down in the basement, you don't want it. And you just go through it. You hear the words well and septic, get scared and realize you're going to need a specialist to help you with that. I'm not saying you don't know, but realize that's it. So anything, when you're going through a property, anything that doesn't sound normal, when they tell you, gee, why did you update the kitchen? Oh, it wasn't too long ago.
Use it for anybody's property.
Well, who was president? Reagan?
I use it for my rental property.
Okay, that may be a little more than not too long
Do
ago.
construction, it's easy.
They don't know how long ago they did things to the building. Ask them some other criteria.
Because you can do the photos right there.
How old were your kids when you did that kitchen? Oh, she was 3. She just, her daughter just graduated with a PhD. Okay, well, that was probably why.
I actually have it on my phone.
Give them some, because they don't know. They're typically not trying to be vague, but they just don't know. When you're collecting information, the number one thing to realize when you're wholesaling. Ryan and I had a situation a month or so ago. One of us was on the phone with the seller. And a wholesaler texted, I think you and the seller, a wholesaler texted me an address. I shot it over to you. And he's on the phone with the seller of that property. And he's like, hey, you have a contract with someone? No, I don't. Well, do you know this name?
No, never heard of it. I don't waste my time.
In Pennsylvania, it is illegal
I'm going to send you
to have a conversation about selling a deal or a property
That's here.
if you're not on contract.
So you get it. You need that.
Your buddy being on contract probably doesn't matter unless you have a JV agreement.
Yes, so I'm very
It's
like,
written paper only, deposits in place.
That's great.
Do not take my MLS deals and try to relist them,
I could bring it out.
because unless you're the one on equitable interest contract, you're breaking the law.
You could actually,
And believe me, the Board of Realtors is looking for that right now.
measure.
Wholesalers are being a royal problem. So you want to, when you get to the point, you've talked to the seller, you've run your numbers, you've worked with one of us, whatever, that contract is the next step.
It takes 4K
And
photos.
when you're doing that contract, how do I say this? Everyone who has anything to do with the deal
Picture all clear.
has to sign.
That's a before. So
You're
I
talking
just bought this
to
house.
this nice young woman who called us today,
So I
talked to us
just
about a
sent
property.
contractors, they know it.
We're going through all the options.
all-
Oh, that sounds
okay,
great.
fine.
That sounds wonderful. Okay, I'll talk
Well,
to my
let's do
husband,
it.
his
Okay.
ex-wife, and this is what we're doing. I said, well,
Great. I mean-
you can talk to them. That's wonderful, but you can't tell me what we're doing because you're not in the deal. The one who's in the deal. I have another deal going on. The person that I know is the main contact, who I know makes all the decisions, isn't actually on any of the entities that own any of the properties he's in charge of. He does everything. He makes all the decisions. His partners do whatever he says. But legally, he can't. He's not valuable as a signature.
Yeah,
And this man has,
yeah, we are really.
God, I probably sold $5 million in property for him.
Oh, that's
So, I mean, this is serious level stuff. But
Ronan.
his wife and his friends' wives are all the owners of the LLC.
I mean,
I know emotionally when Roger signs his name to a document, the deal is done. Legally, I haven't got squat. Legally, I have to wait till the three wives sign.
what is it called? It's something.
So when you're talking to them, look on the county courthouse records. Who are the owners? Talk to them. Say, hey, listen, are you the only one?
No,
Oh, well,
after-
even if you're talking to the executive of an estate, right? I've had two of these in the last few months. A will can go two ways.
Yes.
The executor makes all the decisions, or the executor is a puppet for the heirs.
Yeah.
Let me talk to your estate attorney before we go anywhere with
Me,
this.
I could get that in my.
Because the puppet for the heirs version means until all the heirs decide,
A camera in there.
and we gotta check with what's her name in Hanover Township and see if she's got
really
anywhere.
want some nice. I could take
Until
those
all of the
off.
heirs decide,
You know,
you got nothing.
yeah, you do great.
And not only is it a waste of your time, but you legally are violating. I had permission years ago from a partner in a law firm in New York to move a, what do they call it? Bankruptcy house. It's great.
Yeah, yeah.
I started posting it and advertising it. Now, I didn't have my contracts together, so I was, this other major New York law firm partner calls me. What the fuck are you doing?
Because they don't realize what.
I'm gonna squash you. I'm gonna do this. I said, well, I got this letter from
I'm
him.
just gonna go there and.
Like, oh, that's my business partner. I don't know what he's doing, but you gotta take that down. I said, oh, it's gone. Done.
I will never go to hell.
But if I hadn't had the crappy document I had at the time with this guy, the other guy could have taken me,
So we
you
have
know,
the VR
for everything.
classes at home. That's pretty cool. You like.
Know who's on. And those are the only people you deal with. Same thing on the buyer side. Know who's on there. Know who is, especially if it's an entity. Who are you dealing with? Your legal documents matter.
So I could see.
When you sign a contract with a seller,
Look, I got 100 views.
all right, Pennsylvania law is very vague and it says for good and valuable consideration.
Yeah.
It can be a cookie, it can be a hug, it can be a
Then I
smile.
go there.
In practical reality, put money down with an escrow company. Make your deposit $100 or $10 or whatever small number you want to make, but put money with an escrow company.
You know.
And when you're buying a deposit,
I use it for my
it goes to
So I can
their
see
escrow
you moved in.
company. You don't take one until the day
I
of
have a
closing.
problem. You know what I mean? Like, yo, dude,
Because guess what? Number one, you're stupid because you're holding somebody else's money. If that deal falls apart and you've eaten their money for lunch, you don't have their money.
yeah.
Guess what it's now called?
DA
DA calls that fraud.
Right? Because people are paying crazy.
Deposit that comes in, goes to the title company. I'm a brokerage firm. I have my own escrow company. I don't hold escrow for any of my wholesales. That goes to Bilbo or Mauer. So it's all about doing it right. Seller's disclosures. The law behind seller's disclosures. Every property in the state of Pennsylvania, every transaction in the state of Pennsylvania, the seller must fill out blank.
Yeah, you could cold call for wholesaling. You know,
There's no loophole for, as one wholesaler tried to call himself, non-traditional dealer. Nope, no loophole for that. Oh, that's just for realtors. Oh, that's funny. I had a lawyer tell me that. Well, that document's just for realtors. I said, well,
to buy the house.
that's funny. You, Pennsylvania code this says that. He's like, yeah, but only people do it for realtors. I said, well, the law says, know your laws. If you don't do your lead disclosures,
we have all the legal stuff.
$33,000 to the seller, $33,000 to the buyer, $33,000 to you. We're not doing it. That's your
what the investor is going to really pay.
So when you start getting ready to put something under contract,
okay,
no, you
don't
don't.
help them.
This is one of the things we certify.
under distress.
So we teach it here,
So,
but we also have another group called the Independent Investment Association. We certify you having this knowledge, so you can have a little stamp on your business card that says, I know something my other people don't.
okay, that's not.
Because bad wholesalers are a huge problem. The State House is actively looking at this topic.
Go sit down and.
We're actually doing some meetings with them in early April. But basically, knowing your documents, knowing your numbers, having that first. And when you're taking your pictures, well, what do I take pictures of? Everything. I want one picture from each corner of every room. I want pictures of hallways. I want 360 tours if you have them. I want outside, inside, upside down, aerial, whatever you can get. Floodsmart.gov. That'll tell you if it's in a flood zone. Google Maps. Google Earth is great for telling you the elevation of stuff. Use all these tools. Have all these links in your spreadsheet with your property information. So before you go to that owner with a price and offer, everything you possibly can know, you know it. Well, I heard my neighbor down the street just listed his house for $1.2 million. Well, that's great, but all your other neighbors sold for $150,000. I don't care what you listed for. I care what it's actually selling for. The more you know, the better off you are. Any questions? Anything?
You said it's illegal to market on market property.
Yeah, basically. Because think about it. I'm a broker. I've gone to the effort of going to that property, collecting all the, what?
What if I lock it up and then assign it?
That's a different story. You lock it up. You get me to take this offer to the seller, sign your offer, give you an and/or signs contract, then you have an equitable interest. And remember, as wholesalers, you don't sell property. You sell your contract on property. My brokerage side, I can advertise 148 Barney Street. All he can advertise is his contract that authorizes the purchase of 148 Barney Street. It's a distinction with a difference. The state will actually nail you for that. Doing the former is dealing real estate without a license. You're acting as the state calls, I would love this. You're impersonating an officer of the state. I had no idea I was an officer of the state. Apparently I am.
So I just closed a deal with a realtor, but it was off market.
What?
I said I just recently closed a deal with a realtor. It was off market. And then, but she didn't make me fill out the PA. Real estate.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It didn't have all
the distinction is,
so I
did
just
they-
signed it, so I just decided to buy it.
the distinction is, did they have a listing?
No, it was.
No, it's off. If it's not listed, then it's not listed. So it's fine. I got wholesale deals all the time. You know, listen, realtors come to several of your wholesale deals. I got wholesale deals all the time.
Yeah.
But unless it's a listing contract, but if I have a listing contract, my job is to defend that seller to death.
Right.
And if I look at you and you bring me an offer, Chris, what's your proof of funds to buy this $1.2 million property?
If I have a buyer that I know about it,
But what I'm saying is, without that,
he might have to go through a hard money lender.
No. But back up to the example. I have a property listed. You want the ability to market that deal, you have to get an and/or signs contract.
Yeah.
So you have to show me you're a legitimate enough buyer for me to go to my seller with that offer. Now,
Okay.
I mean, a lot of realtors will fall for it, but in this market, when things are on the market for 24, 48 hours, so if you get a realtor or a real estate agent, they don't have to be a realtor, to take it to their seller and get an and/or signs contract, an assignable contract that their seller signs, and you put money down in escrow. I have a guy spending 7 years as a guest of the state because he didn't do escrow. Then yeah, you can advertise that. You can advertise your contract on that property.
Close it up.
Because I was dumb enough to let that happen. Because with all the buyers that are out there, why do I need them?
But when that happens, if you have a listed and you sell
King
it,
wildlife collection.
doesn't that have to go on your commission?
Of course I do. I don't owe him shit. How you been? I legally can't pay him.
Yeah, but if he has a contract with them.
He can't have a contract with the owner.
Why?
Because once the owner signs with me, I'm the only sign
They
contract.
signed a contract with you to sell their house.
I understand. Okay, the only way it's legal, Mr. Seller signs a listing contract with me as a broker. I then bring Chris's offer to the seller, and Chris is now my buyer. Now, if Chris can assign that contract to somebody else and keep my contract with that I've
But you're saying if Chris goes directly to them, you can't do that?
that is illegal seller with Chris.
But
Once-
for who? The seller or the?
Both.
Well, why
Both.
is that?
Because it's illegal for the seller because the seller has given me exclusive right to sell that property.
So even if they sold him the property, besides being in big trouble, he would still owe him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
his-
so no, but what I'm saying is if he did the listing and sold it, right? Like say you have a $200,000 place and he somehow sold it for $220 because they agreed to give it to him for $200. $220, what the fuck do you care? You know?
doesn't make it, whether I care, it doesn't make it legal.
So you
It's
did-
illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal because my contract with the seller is an exclusive right to sell.
Even if they accept the offer?
Him talking to you without going through me is illegal.
Yeah.
That's the illegal part. And guess what? Those of us with licenses are a small club in this area. There's only about 5,000 or 6,000 of us. It won't take very long for everyone to know Chris's name for having gone. You call the realtor and do it the right way.
But this kind of sounds like a gray area. If it's illegal, it's illegal. Don't get me wrong. But if he makes sure you still get your commission, where's the harm to you?
Again, you're saying where's the harm? I'm saying, well, first of all, I'll get to the harm in a second. But legally, the only person that can
I'm putting
speak.
the legal part on the side. I'm saying if you get your commission, why are you mad at Chris? You said it's not gonna take long.
I'm mad at Chris because I don't know how he did it. I don't know.
Your seller's a
No.
not Chris.
No. Let me finish. I don't know. Did Chris represent himself properly to the seller? I don't know if the seller.
I mean, we could go on hours later. If you come
Yeah.
home tonight, I'm with your old lady. Is your old lady bad or my bad?
Both. That's why both.
What's your old lady for? I hope
Both. Dead. Yeah, pretty much. They're not dead. I don't know. It depends how cute his wife is. I might take a trade.
I said anybody.
All right, listen. We'll offer. Yeah,
I'm not mad at
that would trade in life. But it's that easy. But if he goes directly to the seller, that is a violation for the seller. It's a violation for him. Can I prosecute that? I'm not going to bother. I'm going to go after the seller and say, listen, we have equity
I
contract.
didn't bother you do anything. You get your money. If you get
No.
money, then I get.
But what I'm saying is the get my money is irrelevant. I'm still suing the seller. I'm suing the seller because you signed a contract to do X and you didn't do X. Now let's talk about the punitive damages that you did to my business by allowing someone to go around what we agreed. Because you can be damn sure if I did something going around the contract with the seller, he'd have a right to sue me. But it's really not the. Yeah, I mean, to you, it may not.
Money, I keep rolling.
Well, no. See, here's the thing. To you, I may or may not take action. The Pennsylvania Association of Realtors has an army of lawyers. And guess what? They're going to go after him as the guy who could potentially do it again. If they've sold their only house, how repeatable is that? And really, I'm not saying anyone will take action, but I'm trying to warn the wholesalers in this room that this isn't just I get a $50 fine. This is I could spend years in jail. Okay? This is Joe Beck, I think, was hit for, who used to run real estate riches in the area. He was hit for $1.2 million in fines for each of the 10 years he was in business. For a bunch of pretty nasty things, but whatever. Joe wasn't nasty, the company he worked for was nasty. But basically, what I'm saying is if you're a wholesaler, the only way you can wholesale my deal is by convincing me you're a good enough buyer. And then I take it to my seller and you get under contract. Or you get under contract directly with the other problem. But the point is, without an equitable interest contract that covers my brokerage firm, you can't do it. Listen, there's a guy, first name begins with a V. He did that to me in Carbondale. Remember Carbondale? The district attorney was informed.
That's the same guy in Ashley too. We went.
Yeah. And actually, his name came up with Betty today too. And basically, here's the thing: the reality is, those of us who do real estate professionally, and especially those of us who deal with off market, there's not that many of us. And those of us with licenses have an intranet. So everyone on the MLS knows about what this guy did.
Who would come after you, the National Association of Realtors?
PAR could, my brokerage firm could, the state real estate commission could, the state attorney general could. Yeah. The Arizona Lackawanna County District Attorney could. I mean, you pretty much, once you cross into that, you become the duck and it becomes a shooting gun.
Because the broker is responsible to the state. You know, I just learned this now as I'm taking my stuff. I never cared. I was like you. I was a cowboy. I put things under contract. Steve was always yelling, "No, you can't do that." Well, I got it under contract. You know, no. You got to tell them. You know, and whatever. Now that I'm
and your point, Sean, the argument of, well, what's the harm? What's the foul?
they do come after you.
You talk to the guy sitting up higher than you in the courtroom with the dark robe on, and you see if that argument is going to win. Behind him at the 92-year-old woman who's complaining she was defrauded by the situation in some way.
I got a really old lawyer. That's the key.
Yeah. I don't know, Sonny. My husband built that house. My husband built that house, and he stole it from me. All I'm saying is
I would
to.
never do any of this stuff. I'm just.
Well, I've done most of this stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm telling you it's a good idea.
It happens.
And basically, and listen, you can do the most perfect job. We've all screwed up. I've had a few sleepless nights of things that when I realized, oh shit, I didn't realize that was actually wrong. But look how deep I am. That's why it's like, if you do it right, even if you screw up, you can go to the judge and say, well, this was the best information I had. I may have a fine, but I won't have a punitive.
If you're honest with the people up front, a lot of wholesalers, we were just talking about that earlier, you know. Go look at the house, Mike. Check it out. Tell them you're the inspector. I'm buying the house. You know, I got to go lie to them because they don't even know that they have an assigned contract. And so, I mean, I tell people, hey, we're going to sell this to another investor. I don't even bother lying. The video, because I don't want to send Sean there to go look at the house.
Either my LLC or one of my partners or friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I tell them. Because if it ain't for me, we cherry pick.
Yep.
And then the ones I don't want, I sell right off to another investor.
And we'll tell them point blank. Listen, it says right in our
But
contract.
Sean, these guys aren't telling the people.
Yeah.
They're not telling a distressed person that needs to sell his house in a month, and they're locking it up for 90 days. I tell them,
I don't know who would sign something like that.
It gets all done all the time.
it's crazy.
Automatically extendable seller's contracts. If I can't find them.
I can't believe how many houses you stroll through Facebook and Craigslist. That's 5 different wholesalers have. Like, who the f*** has?
That's well, exactly, and that's the problem.
But if you ask those wholesalers, what they're going to say to
They
you,
all say they have it.
no. They'll say, aim to make the deal, mate. No harm, no foul, right? No, there is a harm. If 5 people have it, the example Larry gave when I think it was the broker class, Larry, the certification teacher for licensing, is the reason the National Association of Realtors was founded. And I'm only using that because IAA is our wholesale version of the same thing, was because licensed agents would literally have a shirt of deeds, under their jacket, a bunch of deeds pinned, half of which they had no contract on. They were literally selling houses they had nothing on. They were selling, quite legally actually, quitclaim deeds on the Empire State Building. Give me $10 right now. I'll give you my quitclaim to the Empire State Building. Totally legal. I can give you every bit of claim I have to it. I have no claim. That's the reason these things are important, is because those 5 wholesalers, do we know if the seller has actually consented to allow any of them to sell the property?
Well, you assume at least one.
Assume.
Yeah, that's one, right? And I'm going to give them money. Here you go. Hey, yeah.
Whichever one's willing to take the cheapest deal. Is
Yeah, well, the ones that don't have it say, hey, it's $5,000.
That's how non-refundable.
Non-refundable.
Who the hell gives a non-refundable?
None of us.
Is anybody here going to give a non-refundable?
Hey, $5,000. And you can only do a drive-by. Just go look in the house.
People are too stupid.
And there's people that pay that.
Yeah.
Well, but gives a not $5,000 non-refundable deserves to lose their money.
Yes, they do.
We had a guy with a Williamsport deal. He's like, I'll give you $5,000 non-refundable. I said, no, you won't. I said, you'll do non-refundable except for title. I said, if the title fails, I said, anything else, I'm keeping your money. You've looked at the house, you've done your whatever, fine. If this guy was dumb enough, he didn't look at the house, whatever. But I'm not taking it if the title's bad. Non-refundable deposits are stupid. But, kind of like the lady that Ryan and I were talking to. Nobody had signed a contract with her. But 1 or 2 wholesalers texted me, happened to be at the same time he was on the phone with her. They were contacting, trying to sell a deal. They hadn't even spoken to the owner yet, let alone gotten under contract. Now, this woman's being sold, except she's not, but someone puts down a deposit and then finds out that's not the number that there's no way they can buy the house for the agreed number. Let's say the person takes a $5,000 deposit on a $30,000 offer, and she's not taking less than $60,000 for the house. That person took the $5,000, put it in their pocket, went to Aruba. $5,000's gone. So you can sue me for the $5,000 all you want. I no longer have it. Not me, but that person no longer has it. That's the reason, if you're going to do it right, if you're going to do it the IIA way, you're going to take that $5,000 deposit from that buyer and you're going to put it in escrow account. And you don't get shit until the deal closes. Because right now, I have one, I don't know, dollars to donuts. I don't think that one's going anywhere. And that money is going back to the seller. Or that deposit rather is going back to the buyer.
Chris, what do you do?
From title escrow.
Okay.
That's the only answer.
Yeah, I was just quizzing you. That's important, because we know some people that I'll hold.
Or if there's like a closing attorney.
Yeah.
Do you have to do that, or like if you're just wholesaling, you can just put it in a savings account, save as long as you're not spending money.
There's no law in
Yes, there is no. You can do whatever you want. You want to hold it, hold it. I would never.
But here's the thing, I would never hold it, because what if the deal goes bad, and then someone gets a bug up their ass that you've done something bad with their $5,000 or their whatever? Then you're going to court, because I had this happen. I had someone accused.
Give the check back and how do you report?
Just follow me. The if is bigger than the reality. I gave you $5,000 deposit. I'm pissed at you. I now file an action saying you fraudulently held or something with my money. Now, win, lose, or draw, you are forced to go to court. You are maybe forced to hire an attorney. You are maybe forced to whatever. And if I'm pissed enough, I'm just going to do it to piss you off.
At the end of the day, I just walked over my car and give a check for $5,000.
Well, you have an attorney. No, you have to then pay. First of all, you have the attorney. Most wholesalers don't. But if you don't, but he has the right to bill you for that time. But again, stepping out of your personal reality of having a personal pocket attorney who's not going to charge you, I work a lot with my attorney, and he's still going to charge me for the fact that he has to go to the judge and file a document to get us out of the situation. So why not? Oh, you misused my deposit funds? Well, talk to Bilbo Abstract. Where have you deposit funds? You dropped them off there. You want to keep them legally. The state doesn't stop you. Philadelphia stops you. Philadelphia no longer allows them. But you can do it. Like, and in your situation, you're
very little wholesale.
All right.
A handful. I don't do a lot of wholesale. I just
Yeah.
buy it myself. But the once or twice I did, I took $500.
And also, if it's $500, what I mean, if it's that, and realistically, most people aren't going to sue you. But it's the guys who do it professionally. I'm saying, don't touch the money. As a broker, I was told when I opened my firm by the guy that inspected, he's like, you screw up, it's you and me across the table, let's figure it out. You mess up by 25 cents in your escrow account. It's you, me, and 7 state attorneys. And you're going to explain to them where that 50 cents went.
No.
So all I'm going to say to people, if you're doing wholesale as a business, why take risk? Every single closing I go to, I check my escrow account the night before to make sure the deposit check didn't bounce. To make sure that I'm not counting something that whatever. Why do you want that stress as a wholesaler? And also, you're not insured as a wholesaler. I'm insured. If I screw up, there's an errors and omissions policy. There's a state recovery fund. You're not. So I mean, for Sean's business, it's great. And if you have that setup that you're strong enough with 500, 1,000, if you're off by whatever, it doesn't matter. That's fine. But if you're chased for $5,000 that you don't have, that's not going to be that fun for you. Situation, I'm sure 5,000. That's a number I wouldn't be fine with either. So that's my whole thing. Is if you're doing it, do it right. Do it as close to the way a broker does as possible. Because we do it that way, so if it goes wrong, we're protected. then you make good money quickly.
Well, I think you just scared the shit out of them. Huh? I mean, these guys like, I ain't wholesaling.
It's not that bad if you do it right.
But you can. It's you don't need any money to really get in the game.
No.
If you do it right, or you team up with us or somebody else, and just so you know, we team up with people.
The network is.
But networking is important. You got to have the investors. You got to know how to price it out. You have to have Steve on your side.
And listen, if you're new to the game, team up with one of us in this room that does it. This is what we do. First of all, it's easier for us. You bring us deals, we hold your hand and get them done. We both make money, and all the risk sits over here. It's our LLC. And also, bluntly, when you're starting out, we've all been there. Seller says to you, if they're smart, why am I selling to you? 45 people called me about this house.
Hey, you look young. You look 20.
What makes you the choice that a seller should sell a house to?
How many houses you buy? How many rentals do you have?
I'm in a mob here.
What I'm saying. How much? They ask you how much money.
No, I need to bail light bulb for that one.
But we could show them proof of funds that we're serious about buying a house. We could show them portfolios. Hey, this is our rental properties. This is our houses we flip. So they take us a lot serious. I talked to somebody. He lives in Alabama. But he told me he's going to give me full listing price. Yeah, did he come here? But we ran into that, right? The guy, he's still selling that house.
Yeah.
In Pittston or wherever. We'll get him.
And when you have the team, because remember, when they're talking to me, Mike, or Ryan, they're not just talking to me, Mike, or Ryan. They're talking to Bilbo Abstract. They're talking to every inspector in the area that knows us. Well, how do I know I can trust you? Well, besides the fact that we all have experience. We all have money.
Guys. Listen, we were actually, remember the house we were trying to wholesale the multi-family in Pittston on that main Ave?
Yeah.
We went to look at it, and she's like, Mike, please don't go. I'm so sorry. The water heater blew. I got no money. I don't know. It's going to cost me so much. I said, we got to fix it. You got tenants in there, And I said, I'm not going to buy it like that. And she's like, well, my partner says it was a Friday. She goes, well, Monday's a holiday, so we'll do it by Tuesday. I go, they got kids upstairs, I said, what if I can get it done for $100? And I'll send my guy here. He'll come here. You got to buy the water heater. And I said, you know what? She's like, well, can you pick it up? Can you pick it up? Yeah, $125. Okay. That's pretty nice, right?
Water heater isn't for me.
I'll up it then at that point. I wanted to buy the house at that point, so I'll up it all day. He's good for water heaters, our guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we were just able to pick up that phone right then, and she was like so excited. I ended up not buying the house. It didn't work for us.
No,
but she was happy. I fixed the water heater that day, the tenant, and it was like 5:00 at night. Tuesday, I told her, you have tenants. I don't know anybody's a landlord here. You're a landlord? You have to. I said, you're going to put them in a hotel for 5 days? This is great. I'm not putting them in a hotel.
Cheaper to buy the damn water heater than put them in a hotel.
She's like, they could just heat some hot water. I go, that's not how it works.
And that's the thing is
Well, we got
if
the
you're at
people.
his level with experience and teams and everything, you probably can wing it. You probably can do it yourself.
Yeah, he's a
You
winger.
probably can hold your money.
You can wing it. Me and Steve can wing it. We could overlook something. All right, maybe the foundation needs to be fixed, but we know how to price the house. I don't even care. We've got the house so low because we know how to run the numbers and present it to the owner. If you just come, if you're new and you just say, well, I'm going to give you 50,000 reals. It's worth 200, and you're giving them 50.
Yeah.
They'll look at you like crazy. But when I run the numbers and I show them, hey, look, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. And these people tell you everything. They're like, oh, yeah, the roof's been leaking for like 5 years. And we hear it all,
Oh, yeah, and that's why when you're talking to them, and I'm sure you do this with your sellers, when you're talking to them, let them talk.
Yeah.
They will tell you literally where the bodies are buried.
The best thing to do is just look. I stare at stuff. She's like, oh, do you see that crack? No, not yet, but okay now. And I write it down, crack.
The zoning guy in town said, hey, go to this address, here's the lady's number, she wants to sell her house,
Yeah.
So I go there and look at it from now, so I just drive by, call her, I deal with the house, so-and-so give me your number. She's like, I'm thinking about selling it. I'm like, well, tell me a little bit about it, So she goes, well, it had a fire about 5-6 years ago. The zoning guy told me it was like 12 years ago,
Right.
But she's like 5-6 years ago, and then a tree fell on it, now the foundation's caving in, and then she's like, I think they ripped down a lot of walls to steal. And she's like, well, to be honest, the town kind of made like maybe they'll give me the last 2 or 3 years taxes back and just take it and bulldoze it. I'm like, oh, that sounds like $5,000-$6,000 you're gonna get. She goes, yeah. I'm like, I'll give you $8,000. She goes, well, that could be a deal. So I'm like, all right, what do we need to do this? And she's like, well, let me talk to my so-and-so. And she's like, and then I'll get with the town to find out, what the thing is. So now, like, the town guy's been harassing her because he knows me. I like 3 different times. Every time I go there for permit or something else, I go, hold that fucking lady, make her sell the house. Like, he told me, he's like, if that lady thinks we give her $6,000, like, we'll give her like a grand or two to make her happy and then just bulldoze the house because, it's an hour, I'm like, yeah, I'll give her 8 or 10 grand for the thing.
Yeah. Well, and those kinds of connections, knowing, and we don't do a deal without talking to the code officers. And actually, we've got the one out in West Wyoming, which is a great example of teams. The code officers several times because well and septic but having those people that once they hear your experience, anybody can talk to you for 5 minutes and know, listen, he knows what he's doing. Doesn't matter what town you're going into. You go to a new town, you know what you're looking for, even if you don't know the people. When you're newer, they have no track record with you, so you're the same as every other.
And they all have attitudes. They want to write you up for something just for talking to them, especially when you're new. Once you know what they're about. And the sellers, this is their. I mean, it's sad to think on these very crappy houses in some cases, but this is probably the biggest thing they've ever owned in their lives. And this is, or maybe it's their family homestead. It means a lot to them. Like the one that sent you that text message last week. We sold the raccoon house on Court Street. Yeah, you're not supposed to say the address.
The woman's built a beautiful new house next door that she's living in, and this crap hole she grew up in has been dead.
Yeah, she killed it.
It is so close to her heart.
It was supposed to be condemned, and but she wrote a nice, thank you. It's beautiful. I can't believe it. For raccoons crawling in and out, and you guys did such a great job. So I went there. Wow.
Compared to what it was, it's
compared to what it was. They're living in there. They spent the money inside, not outside.
And those are the parts. It is truthfully. It sounds trite, but it's not about making money. It's about helping people. When you get those emails from people, that's worth more than the money you got. When you get the email that you screwed them over, if they like you, they'll tell 5 people. If they don't like you, they'll tell 50.
It's getting late. You guys have any other questions? Anybody want to know about rental properties or? Hey, Tony, got any questions?
Working all of it right now.
Yeah, we were just talking about wholesale. I promise we will have a speaker here next month.
Yeah. So the important thing is when you're running numbers for singles, it's hugely different than for any kind of rental, but especially multifamily. And we'll stay out of commercial. That's a disaster for the beginners. When you're looking for anything you do, you want to look at what's similar has sold in the market. When you go on Zillow, when you put up an address, I'll tell you the lazy part because everybody can use Zillow, you X out of the little pop-up. You don't care what it's telling you the estimate on that property is. Behind it, you select sold and you select matching property type and you see what's actually sold. And then you start, what Zestimate doesn't do is you have a human like you look and say, the one I'm looking at is the Three Little Pigs would have loved it. It's a concrete block house in a beautiful neighborhood of Shavertown, but it looks like the Three Little Pigs built it to keep the wolf away. Everything else is this beautiful McMansion. I'm not that. I don't meet that. So you start looking and saying, well, mine isn't the 150, mine is the 125 when I'm done. And then you take out your, if it's a flip, 70% of what the middle finished value is, brings you to the most your flipper is going to spend on it, minus everything from there. Purchase costs, transfer taxes, selling costs, lender fees, repair costs, everything. That's what the flipper can pay you for. And then, how much do I want to make as a wholesale fee? That's the number you can actually pay the seller. When you're looking at multi-units, buy and holds, rentals of any kind, you're looking at that number. But you're also looking at what the rents are, minus all the expenses, minus maintenance, vacancy management, divided by a cap rate, divided by a profit percentage, return on investment percentage, to give you what the actual value is on the property. What I'm saying is it's totally different. The example I use for rentals is, you have 2 rentals, one in Wilkes-Barre, one in Harvey's Lake on the lake. They both make $2,400 a month. Which one do I want to buy? Why? Exactly. Your return on investment is going to be higher.
On the water, it might be 4,000.
Yeah, well, of course. No, but they're the same. Yeah, no, the one on the water will be a lot more than that. But if they're the same, your return on investment is going to be a lot higher if your finished cost to get it to where it will be to generate those rents. We as realtors, we love this game. Well, the pro forma rent is $4,000 a month. And that's what we based our asking price on. Pro forma means fake. Pro forma means when I get done, it's what it's going to be worth. I'm not paying you now for the dump you're selling me what it'll be worth when I'm done fixing it. I'm going to pay you now for the dump you're selling me for what it's worth now. So I'm going to say when it's done, it's going to make me $4,000 a month. It's going to cost me blah, 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 blah. Here's what it's worth today because I've got this large repair number. So when you're dealing with multis, your universe is different. And all I'm saying is this is where you need people with experience like us. You talk to the seller, you JV with us, you talk to the seller, you bring us the numbers, we'll help you. We'll get it over the finish line. You want to take our class without JVing with us, we also have that too. But you want to know, because these people don't know. I've not yet to meet a seller, but I don't know, have we had an off-market seller that actually knew their numbers and actually knew what they had?
No.
I don't think most people.
No. Everybody wants to offer their house.
Yeah.
They think it's worth a lot.
And it's like a gut reaction. Like, this is what I want. It's not based on it.
You know,
Right.
some even we were offered just take the house, but I don't even want to pay the taxes on the thing. Question.
Right, come on, house. Yeah.
She's like, I'll give it. I said, then we did a 50-50 deal. That's one of our things we do. On a house that's just a shit show. I said, listen, whatever I could sell it for, we split it. Okay. All right, great. You know, we turned around and sold that thing for 20. We made 10. She made 10.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of house, it should be torn down. You know, the house I got fleas at. That you said you heard me on the podcast. That house, same thing, wholesale it. I looked in the window, got fleas. The guy that bought it, he wanted it. I said, don't go in there. There are fleas. You know, he came up like this. I'll buy it for 20. I said, take it. Just stay over there.
I bought a house with fleas, and the guy went in and he came out covered.
The guy was covered. It was going like this, and they moved away, and then they came back.
And they're like, why do you come by the top? I'm like, fucking get fleas.
I didn't go in there. We didn't go in the house. We
You
were
guys done.
on the side of the house. We were on the side, me and him. And he's like, Dad, your legs. I go, shit. I go, run. And I go, oh, you don't even run. Where are you going to go? And then my other son, Nick, is in the car sleeping. And we said, oh, Nick, you got to go buy us some spray.
Yeah.
Horrible. God, we made 20 grand. We're 10,000. Yeah. You know, $10,000. I got fleas, and I never went back in the house. You know,
I don't think I ever entered that house.
yeah, I said, don't.
My flea house is one of my best deals. I bought it for 72. We put 20 grand. I got appraised for 180 like a month later.
Yeah, that's good.
And for those of you doing buy and holds, how are you financing it? Have you got your bank lined up and everything? You got the cash, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, so you're just thinking. So you guys just start figuring out numbers.
I mean, I'm not rushing it.
Like get pre-approved with the lender now is what I'm saying.
I did with Benchmark, but then
No,
I wanted to go.
I did a good one. I got that.
You know,
Yeah.
I got to go through commercials,
Huh?
so now I have to go to.
No, I know, but we're better than Benchmark.
So we get
Benchmark's fantastic.
And so my own house is Benchmark. I've used them before, but now I ran into other people.
So I don't know those guys. I have Benchmark.
Do you guys have good hard money, guys?
we got hard money, we got
Private
private money,
money.
we got regular bankers. But and we've got guys who do 100% purchase, 100% rehab, give you a year. Yeah, it's 10 or 11%, whatever. Fine, don't care. Call us up. The way we do it is we got a form you fill out. We'll figure out which of the lenders it fits with because we work with so many. You tell us about your deal. We'll send it out. They'll call you, or you call them, or whatever. We'll tell you who it's going to. And the thing is that when you go shopping for property, if you're actually looking to buy, so there's two things you need when you go shopping. If you're a wholesaler, you need credibility that the seller is going to believe you can pull this off. You need somebody that can put up that proof of funds to get that realtor. I've wholesaled MLS deals, 30 of them at least, because I could prove the proof of funds. When you're going to buy, you'll call me. Listen, all I deal with is investors all the time. Yep. No problem, man. I can help you out. I'll say anything you want to know. You want to talk about properties all day long? No problem. We'll talk about them. Or I want to go see if you. Or if you get your bank, or we'll do that afterwards. No. I'm not getting out of bed unless you can prove to me you can buy, because why am I wasting my time? I'm not disturbing my seller's tenants unless you can prove to me you can buy. I'm not telling my seller someone's going to the house unless you can prove to me you can buy. So you just get something from someone that says they've looked at your credit. The building may not pass. Now, in commercial, you're probably not going to get a pre-qualification or pre-approval. Most lenders don't do that. But they'll send you an email. And it'll say Brandon Brown, First Keystone Bank, or Gary Brown, or whichever lender you're using. We've looked at Mr. and Mrs. paperwork. This LLC is good. We believe they can afford, with the right deal, up to this much money. Then I'll take you out to property. Because then we're not lying to anybody. Some lender has said you have the money. Now, if you have the cash, show me a bank statement. Show me a line of credit. Show me whatever. Just show me that if we make an offer, you can back it up. Because especially in this market, you don't have the chance to go look at something a week later, think about it, come back around. Well, I think we're ready to make an offer.
Yeah, and then now you have to get your finances,
Yeah.
Straight.
So if you are actually shopping, if you're wholesaling, team up with people who can help you build that credibility. If you're actually shopping, I will send you deals all day long. We can analyze them, whatever, but I can't take you to them. Not in most cases. I can't take you to them unless you have your funding. And if you do have a private lender, realize we are very finicky. And if you happen to get arrested, we're not lending to you anymore. If you happen to do something that we don't like, we're going to pull your funding because that's the difference. Hard money is a company that lends money. Private money is a person. I had a guy last year, did a couple deals with him, and I learned some things through the grapevine that his operation was a little spread too thin. So we're a couple days before closing, and I said to him, I'm sorry. I said, I can't do this loan. The IRS won't let me lend in situations where someone is extended beyond a certain amount. Actually isn't true. But it's bottom line, it's my money. You're dealing with an institution, they're going to be like, they have their rules. If you're within their rules, they're fine. Hard money. So private money is easiest. One phone call, we had all the money we needed for Archibald. Boom. Because Mike had a relationship and he knew us, boom, done. Hard money is a little harder, but not a lot, because it's a private, rich company doing it. Banks are the hardest. Give us a blood sample, promise us your second born, that's where you go. All I'm saying is if you are buying, get that ready. Unless you can say, hey, I've got I've got a client right now, I know what he has for cash, I know what he has for assets. If he wanted to buy something for $30 million, to me, probably wouldn't question. Because I know he has the assets to pull it off if he has.
Even a line of credit, if they had a
If you have a line of credit, can you?
TJ.
If your house is worth, the house you already own is worth $250, because the market's gone up, and you only owe $125 on it, I'll probably take that as enough to go show the house, because I know you could get the loan.
And we've borrowed money from people like that. So I'm just saying for people that are new that want to, flip a house or do something, buy an investment property, your friends have money.
Yeah.
Ask your parents, I ask friends all the time. That's how we get all our money. You go, he's like, I'm going to look at this house. And I'm like, who should we just pick one up? We'll call him. I got to use his money, Hey, can I buy this house? Go ahead, Mike. That's the best money, to be honest with you. That's how we don't go to a bank. I'm actually, as I'm driving there, I'm just going through my cell phone. I haven't used his money in a while. I'll use him, Yeah, you got 100? Whatever he's got. I have a guy that has 500. I met with a lady today, owns a shopping center. She has $7 million. Free money. She's like,